Hello friends, and welcome back to Forever Fitness, where I am doing videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. I am here with Jason Corey.
What's up?
We are going to talk about something pretty important and relevant, I would say, nutrition myths or fitness myths that come up, whether you see it on social media, whether you hear Betty Jane talking about it at work. This is the time of year that everyone's somewhat searching for the magic weight loss tips and tricks.
And there's a lot out there.
A lot of bad information out there, and a lot of information that people just jump to very quickly as a magic solution.
A lot of lies.
Expose some of those lies, some of those myths, so that hopefully you can be better aware and informed as you are consuming content and as you navigate your own weight loss fitness goals. The first thing I want to mention is just being well educated on who you're taking advice from. I think people tend to throw that out the door.
See somebody shredded on Instagram and be like, oh, they must know what they're doing. I'm gonna follow every single thing they say. And a lot of those times, those people are lying to you because they want to sell you programs.
So often you can see someone online, TikTok, Instagram, that has a beautiful body. It just has everything going on, and maybe they look like they work out a certain way, they eat a certain way, and they're promising you can do the same as them and see the same results.
You just gotta hire them as a coach. And
Right.
You too can eat 5,000 calories a day and get shredded.
It's very deceiving what you can see online, and I think we're getting better educated on it, but I need to remind people, because it still happens all the time, that people are taking advice from people with absolutely no credentials. They just look good. You need to do your research on what are their credentials. Are they a registered dietitian? Are they a certified trainer? Do they have some other credentials to back up what they're telling you, or more importantly, what they're selling you, right? Because it's one thing to just post your own life online, but if you're actually selling someone something, what are the credentials behind it?
And you don't know what people are really doing to achieve that look. You don't know if they're taking certain drugs. And even if they're admitting to taking certain drugs,
True.
they could be downplaying what they're taking, because I see that a lot of time in the fitness industry with bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave this one girl's name out of it, but I remember seeing her a couple years ago saying she's eating 5,000 calories a day. So she was around Kara's height and extremely skinny. There's no way in the world that girl's eating 5,000 calories a day and getting leaner. But what she's doing is she's selling that magic wand to people, going, hey, look, follow my program and do what I say. You too can eat 5,000 calories a day, eat whatever you want, and you can get shredded. A 6'2" dude can't even eat 5,000 calories a day,
Right.
even if they're lifting, and not get fat, unless they're some type of extreme athlete, like an MMA athlete that's training all day long, or a triathlete or something like
Absolutely.
that. Just don't fall for the lies, guys.
I follow a lot of dietitians now. I feel like I follow less bodybuilding fitspo, so I'm not always up to date on the latest fads and lies. But one trend I also see that I think is a little inaccurate is a lot of dietitians who have voiced their history of an eating disorder. And then what they're selling you and what their niche marketing is that you can eat intuitively, which I support intuitive eating, but all they show you is all the stuff that they eat that make it look very lustful and very magical. So they maintain a very lean, tiny physique, and then they're showing you eating the big bakery treats with their big sweet coffee, and then they're getting pizza and wings, and that's all they show you. And I think they do a bad job at showing what they're actually eating. Number one, they probably don't eat all of it,
If they even eat any of it.
We do a lot of things for the social media content, I can tell you that. Number two, yes, are they even eating any of it? What else are they doing? How much are they even eating? You don't know. I see a lot of these types of dietitians or fitness influencers just generalizing about how much they think they eat, which is, I guarantee you, highly inaccurate. So not to go on a tangent there, but the biggest thing is just make sure you understand who you're taking advice from, what their credentials are, and what are their intentions. Even someone like myself, as a credentialed individual, I should not be influencing you to do exactly what I do. Now, it's one thing that I am an influencer. I share on this channel all the time things that I do that may help people. But when it comes to actually taking on a client and working with them, I am not going to impose on you doing every single thing that I do. We should never do that as clinicians. So even if someone does have credentials, just always take a look at what their intention is there with you and helping you. And one last bit on people you're taking advice from, just because something worked for Jason Corey
Doesn't mean it's going to work for Calorie.
So it's great to have your own personal experience with weight loss and health goals and how you achieve them. But always remember that doesn't make you qualified to help everyone else. It can actually be dangerous for you to share exactly what you did with someone else. And then all of a sudden they copy it and do it to a T. What works for one person does not work for everyone. That is why we're so unique. And that's why registered dietitians exist. And a big part of what we do is psychology. It's motivational interviewing. It's cognitive behavioral strategies. It's a lot of stuff that isn't just, hey, here's my diet, do it.
And it seems like, especially with weight loss and muscle gain, anything into fitness, it seems like common sense literally gets thrown out the door.
It does.
Just going back to the 5,000 calories a day example.
Yep.
Can anyone on this channel watching this video literally think, if you sit back and think, no matter who's telling you this, if you eat 5,000 calories, you too can lose weight. Anything fitness related, a lot of common sense just gets thrown out the door and people just start reaching for the magic pill, the magic answers.
That's so, so true.
A lot of influencers prey on that. A lot of these coaches prey on that because they just want to use your emotions to sell you.
So true. If you haven't watched my last video, which is a little bit of a New York City vlog, and I talk about how I eat junk food and don't gain weight, go back to that video and check that out. Really interesting comment was that they wrote on there, I knew this is what you were going to tell me, but I was hoping you were going to tell me something else. Because it's the reality of what it takes to not gain weight with balancing things out. I didn't give you some magic formula there. I told you the truth, which a lot of people will sugarcoat things or put them in a certain way. So I just wanted to give that warning for you. Part of it starts with you as consumers, what you are consuming, whose advice you're trying to follow, and why. But let's get into some of these myths that are out there, that exist, that people are still doing, especially right now. Number one myth to me is people out there preaching that if you are eating under 2,000 calories, you're gonna wreck your metabolism. Now that number could vary a little bit, but I do see a lot of people saying online less than 2,000 calories. No one should be eating under that unless you're geriatric or something. Absolutely not true. And it also irritates me, and I've talked about this before with how it irritates me as a very petite female. Even being very physically active, my calories aren't going to be over 2,000 calories a day unless I'm trying to gain weight and I don't have a bad metabolism. Your calories won't even
be 2,000 calories
Correct.
a day.
I have a good metabolism, and I know this because anytime I have entered a weight loss program, I have no issues losing weight.
Yes.
When I do what I'm supposed to do, I have no issues losing weight. That right there tells me everything's good. I also get my hormones tested. But this myth exists because it's trying to sell you on their perfect programs.
So as a 5'1" 3/4", I'll give you the 3/4 female, weighing 110 pounds?
About, yep.
So you lift 5 days a week. How many days a week do you do cardio?
I would say I'm trying to get 10K steps most days of the week, but on top of that, usually cardio 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay, so how many calories for you to maintain?
For me to maintain, that's usually around 1,600 to 1,700 calories.
So we're not even close to 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
And I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's accurate. I've had my basal metabolic rate measured by different devices, and it generally is around 1,000 to 1,200 calories just to maintain my body on a day-to-day basis. That's without movement. And so you may be like, well, that's not a lot, but that's actually quite a bit more calories with the movement and how active I am for a 40-year-old woman to be 1,600 to 1,700 calories and maintain. That's actually really good.
Yep.
So just don't get so caught up in seeing that stuff. I know so many latch on to those people that tell you you can eat that much and not gain weight and eat that much and lose weight. But it's not always true. It's usually not true, especially for a lot of smaller females, to be honest with you.
Now, to spin off of that, you're talking about movement and how many calories you're burning. Can we talk about how a lot of fitness devices, Stairmasters, tell you burn X amount of calories?
Oh yeah,
those
are wrong.
Those are completely wrong. So don't base your calories off of, oh, I just burned 600 calories in a stepper for 30 minutes. You didn't burn 600 calories in a stepper in 30 minutes.
Yeah, I never use those. In fact, even with my watch and my tracker, those are
not accurate either.
They may be a little more accurate than your generic cardio equipment, but I don't really use that information, nor do I ever recommend clients use that information. Yep. It's not really necessary. Track your workouts, track how much cardio you're doing,
yep.
Be mindful of that, your steps, but you don't need to fall down the rabbit hole too far on how many calories you're burning on a step now. It's not really necessary.
Yep.
The next one I want to say that plays off of that is the thought process of earning your food or burning off that holiday food you ate. Neither of those should enter the equation. So another reason why you don't need to be hopping on the step mill to burn X amount of calories that you ate Thanksgiving dinner or a Christmas event. It doesn't work like that. You're never going to outwork a bad diet, they say. And it's also just mentally not a good approach to your diet and your relationship with food in your body. Usually people that I encounter that function like that have a really poor relationship with food and are chronically gaining and losing the same 10 to 15 pounds because they can't really get it together in terms of what a healthy balance is. So it's fine to indulge, but do not start doing tit for tat. It's not going to get you further ahead.
It's not, and it's just going to drive you mental. And like she said, it's going to cause this bad
relationship.
It's going to cause this bad relationship, and without even realizing it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot of times you don't realize this. You're picking up these bad, I'll call them habits. You're not picking up these bad habits. You don't realize it. Then it's like, oh, well, I just ate a cookie. I should go run a mile, and that's just going to spiral out of control.
It's just something to avoid. And if you are someone like that, you should start to reframe your thinking about food. You may want to go back and watch my other video I posted for Forever Fitmas where I talk about mindful eating and some approaches to mindful eating that may help you out. Another one that still exists and will forever exist is someone promoting that you need to eat a certain way by either removing set food groups or only eating certain foods. That should be a big red flag to you. That is not the path to weight loss. It's not to say that certain individuals don't have to eat that way due to how their body responds or how they internally feel or due to medical issues. All of that is real for sure.
Yes. For example, for weight loss, what do you feel like when you've competed, didn't you always feel like you responded better to higher protein, higher carb, lower fat?
Yes.
Yes. Everybody's different.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then some people may respond to better to higher fat, higher protein, lower carb.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. When it comes to weight loss, regardless of what your goals are there isn't a magic food group you need to avoid that's going to get you to that finish line quicker. Like Jason mentioned, macronutrient distribution, ratios, certain things there have proven to work a little bit better depending on what the goal is. If your goal is body composition, there is research to support higher protein diets can help keep you fuller. You're also going to end up with more muscle mass, so probably better body composition depending on what you're looking for. There's definitely ranges there. But when you hit the Barnes & Noble, if people still go to bookstores, and you see all the latest fad diets coming into the new year, many of them are telling you can't eat dairy, or you can't eat gluten, or don't eat fruit, or do the zone diet where it's like you do this phase where you eliminate foods, then you add them back in. Will you lose weight doing that stuff? Maybe. Is it necessary? No, it's not necessary. And a lot of people actually have the opposite effect when they do that stuff. When they start to remove food groups from their diet, then they bring it back in, they kind of don't know how to manage it. Yeah. Or they're like, now I'm eating carbs again, and they go way overboard. So the more strict you get, doesn't usually end up with the best results, which is why I encourage a healthy balance of allowing in some indulgences.
Yep, exactly. I mean, common sense says if you want to be healthy, whole, unprocessed foods are your best bet.
Absolutely. Great point. I forgot to mention that. Like, obviously, like trying to make the majority of your diet come from whole foods is going to best benefit you for a multitude of different reasons. It's going to leave you feeling more full, more energetic. That's why I always mention take note of the days that you're like, man, that was a good eating day. That might sound weird, but it can be so helpful to be like, at the end of the day, I felt really good. I felt satisfied. I didn't feel the need to do any additional snacking. Pay attention to how you feel the next morning. I woke up, I felt really good when I woke up. Like I didn't feel lethargic. I felt energetic.
A lot of it is simply because your body understands how to process that food.
Right.
Our bodies haven't evolved to taking in all these chemicals that we do day to day. Can deal with it, but our bodies are best suited for, fruit, for example.
Yeah,
because it has the fiber in it. Our body knows how to digest it and how to handle all that.
Right.
So that's just common sense, though.
You would think so, but like you said at the beginning, people lose sight of common sense when it comes to losing weight. What was I heard on the radio one day, it was like people would shave 20 years off their life if they could be given a magic wand to be thin for the rest of their lives.
Yes, it's
20
crazy.
years.
It's crazy to me because isn't the reason of being thin to be healthier?
You would think, but not everyone's intentions are such. Yeah. Probably my number one one pet peeve with nutrition myths that still exist, and it blows my mind, is you shouldn't be eating any fruit, Jason.
I know, it's the worst like advice I've ever heard.
Isn't it so high in sugar? That's a red flag, bro. I don't even care if you're talking directly to diabetics. Even still, that is such outdated information to say diabetics shouldn't be eating fruit.
Now, can I stop here?
Yeah.
Because fruit juice, that's different. That's a whole different story now.
Yeah.
Because now it's just the straight juice, super
Right.
concentrated. You're taking out all that fiber. And like I just said, your body understands, eat an apple, your body understands how to digest it and how to process it. And it's going to digest slower than if you just drink a giant glass of apple juice.
For sure. Always. Yeah. And how are you going to feel? Test yourself if you ate a whole apple versus having apple juice.
I'm not saying apple juice is bad. I'm just kind of,
Yeah. You're always going to feel more full, more satisfied. That apple is going to do so much more for you than a glass of juice.
I just don't want people to get confused.
Right.
Drinking
sure.
36 ounces of juice a day.
Yeah. I also, within that scope of things, get a lot of people dissecting, well, I don't eat higher sugar fruit or I don't eat higher sugar vegetables. For instance, people still give bananas a bad rap. Like it's the highest sugar content, which in actuality, it's really not that high in sugar. Even now, we're talking natural sugar here, but even still comparative, it's not astronomically high in sugar. Compared to berries or your lowest in sugar, of course, or your water dense fruits. I'm just not a big glycemic index follower where that is required for you to lose weight. Same with vegetables. Look, guys, the biggest struggle is people don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. When I do diary reviews of people's intake, which I do with everyone and I have done for about 20 years now, the majority of what's missing from everyone's diet is fruits and vegetables. So I know we all want that like perfect recipe to success, but focus more on adding things in, start there, add in the fruits, add in the vegetables, and see what happens when you're actually consuming several servings of fruits and vegetables a day. A lot of people don't do that. Sure, it's one thing if you can't for whatever medical reason. I'm not talking to those people.
I can't eat veggies, unfortunately.
Correct.
I like veggies.
He's very particular, right? So this is part also why I wanted to bring Jason into this video, because what works for one person doesn't work for everyone. What's healthy for me is not healthy for him, and vice versa. We all need different things, and you need to figure out what works best for you, but still be smart about it. So definitely don't be like, I can't eat carrots. They're too high in sugar. That one kills me. That and sweet potatoes. The next one I see online quite a bit, and I'm going to preface this with saying, as a dietitian, I still always recommend every client, unless they have medical issues, to consume majority of their foods from whole, unprocessed, natural foods as much as possible. You know that 80-20 rule, kind of following that thought process while still allowing yourself some fun food. However, one of the things I do see online that the girlies are doing on TikTok and doing call outs of are to never consume anything if it has an ingredient list with one item on there you cannot pronounce. Now, that might seem like that's great advice, but at the end of the day, is that realistic? Probably not. So an example for you is...
Yes, we live in a very busy, fast-paced world where you have to sometimes just grab and go items.
Correct.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen where there may be something on there you can't pronounce. And guys, just because there's an ingredient you can't pronounce, it actually doesn't mean it's bad for you just because you can't pronounce it. You may just be unfamiliar with it. One example for you is I am a grandma. I love eating bran flakes. It's my favorite cereal ever.
She loves bran flakes so much, but she really likes raisin bran flakes. But she hates the raisins in raisin bran. Who hates the raisins in raisin bran? When we lived in an apartment like over a decade ago, I used to live off raisin bran because I was so poor. Raisin bran and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. She would have my raisin bran, but she'd have me pick out all of the raisins, which I didn't mind because I could have a giant handful of sugary raisins.
I don't like those at all, but yeah.
It's so good.
But the bran flakes,
it's like raisins
slap.
with sugar on them.
They're next level bran flakes. You can't just get a box of bran flakes like that, which is really annoying.
And know why they taste so good? From all like the sugar that's on the raisins that's falling off on the raisin bran flake.
But yeah, maybe it's a little more sugar.
It's a little more sugar.
Point with that was a lot of your whole grain cereals are vitamin enriched and or fortified. So there's going to be ingredients on there you cannot pronounce. For instance, you may notice something called ferrous orthophosphate. That's something you'll see on a lot of brand cereals. That's just another name for iron. They have to iron fortify cereals. So is that bad for you? No, it's literally iron. It's no different than you taking a supplement. It fortifies your food. So my point there is it's you should be looking at ingredients on a label. You absolutely should be. And you should be learning more about what makes up a good food item. And if that's a video you want to see in the future, then drop a comment down below letting me know you want to see that.
I was just about to intervene and say, can you do a video on the top 5 ingredients you should avoid on processed foods?
Oh.
And then they could just quickly just scan it. If it has one of these 5s, I should probably avoid it. And you can give why you should avoid it.
Yeah.
Comment down below.
Yeah. Just remember, you should be looking at the ingredient labels, but just because some food has something on it you can't pronounce doesn't mean it's inherently bad for you or a bad ingredient. So just keep that in mind. It's all about finding that balance with how many different things you're going to look at. You can look at anything and find a good to it or find a bad to it, right? So you kind of have to navigate what you're going to focus on. Big caution for you entering the new year is those magic supplements or pills that are going to promise you weight loss. Now, I know there's FDA approved medications now for weight loss. It's not really what I'm talking about. I'm more so talking about these companies that come out with pills that are specifically fat burning for weight loss. You still see a lot of that marketed when you enter a vitamin shop or a GNC or a supplement shop of some sort. You have to be really careful with that and look at the ingredients. And
also understand that supplements are there just to assist. They're not going to do the work for you.
They're not. And actually, even things like Ozempic is not going to only do the work for you. Even with something like Ozempic, you are going to have to work out and modify your diet in addition if you really want to see long-term weight loss. We're not really seeing, I don't think we've ever found anything that allows you to not work out or monitor how much you're putting in your mouth, even with gastric bypass.
DNP.
You can see weight regain.
DNP.
And burn from the inside out.
And kill yourself. So
just be careful about that because a lot of times the supplements that are telling you you're going to lose weight from it, if you look at the ingredients, it's often high amounts of caffeine, which could be super dangerous depending on what caffeine you're already consuming in your diet, or if you're someone that is sensitive, maybe you're someone that has a history of heart conditions, high blood pressure, things like that. Just taking that stuff nonchalantly could be very dangerous to your health. Joey Justice has entered the video. With supplements though, I do feel there is a time and a place for supplementation. So they are something that can supplement into what you're doing. They can assist you. So they could assist you with decreasing the appetite a bit. They could help you by revving things up, maybe a little increase in thermogenesis for a higher caloric output. Still be careful with what you're going to take, but just remember that it's a supplement in addition to all those other things you should be doing. And then
diet and exercise.
You can't just, what was it, the apple cider vinegar gummies?
Yes.
Things like apple cider vinegar gummies, I've seen those marketed for weight loss. And I don't think anything's proven with apple cider vinegar. I like consuming it, but the natural stuff. But a lot of that stuff really hits the market coming into January. So just be careful of it.
Everybody thinks they drink some apple cider vinegar and it's going to cure everything. It's good for you. It's definitely good for you, but it's not the magic wand you're looking for.
It's not. Going back to fitness, the last tip we want to give you is being aware of what fitness program you're purchasing and who you're purchasing it from in terms of, are they promising you something that
they're genetically blessed with?
Right. So abs are one of the biggest ones I think about.
You can see someone else like an 8-pack, which is very rare.
Yeah.
And it's 100% genetic based.
Yeah.
You can't get extra abs if you don't have those muscle insertions. It's not going to happen.
And I've seen people with great abs, and it's smart from a marketing standpoint.
Of course.
They're making a killing that they're selling you their 15-minute core program and all their core workouts, and that's going to give you those abs. People still think that when they look at someone, I'll get that if I do her 15-minute abs a day. And it's just, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't mean the ab program's bad. It doesn't mean that person's bad. It just means be smart about this because genetics do play a role
Huge
here,
role.
friends. I personally feel like, you can work with your genetics or against your genetics.
Yep.
There's a lot you can do to really change your body composition, but you have to be realistic about what your body is going to be capable of.
And it really comes down to learning your own body, which doesn't happen overnight. It takes years to really learn your own body.
Bring up your example of when we first started weightlifting, what you you had an example of what you want it to look like.
So before even the internet was really around with fitness, we got into fitness.
Yes.
So we found a local gym with a bodybuilder. And he's like, can you show me somebody that you'd like to model yourself after? And I showed him somebody that was fairly skinny, but lean, very shredded and very muscular.
Ninja assassin, right?
Yep. And he's like, this is perfect because he's like, this is achievable with your genetics.
Right.
I wasn't trying to look like Ronnie Coleman. You know, I could take all the drugs in the world, eat all the food in the world, and I would never get to that size. It's not in my genetics.
Right.
You know, certain girls with giant butts, the same thing. I want a big butt like her.
Yeah.
Well, what are her genetics?
Right.
What ethnicity is she as well? Because that's huge in genetics. You know, all of these things play into the muscle you're going to develop and how you're going to lean out and how you're going to look.
I think for sure I used to definitely think I could have some physique that was way out of the scope of my genetics when I first entered bodybuilding. So this information wasn't out there yet.
Yep.
And I had no one telling me otherwise. It was just
magic wands. Here you go.
If you work hard enough and diet hard enough, you can look like anyone you want on the Olympia bikini stage. And I'm like, perfect. Not knowing those chicks were all on drugs at the time. And again, no shade to that. Do you, boo? But I can't achieve that.
Even with drugs, people aren't going to be able to achieve certain things because their genetics don't allow it.
Right.
People respond different to different drugs. People have different muscle insertions. Some people have those really deep muscle insertions where they don't even have to be that lean, and they still have like a shredded six-pack just because their muscle insertions are so deep.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, there's nothing wrong with doing the Calorie Forever Fit program because you think I have a banging body and that motivates you, but you're still realistic about the results you're gonna get. Yes. That's okay. Like I've done that too, where I align myself with someone that motivates me, even if I know I'm not gonna achieve that set look. It's still nice to go that route because something motivates you, but be realistic about the results you can get. And if someone is also guaranteeing you that you're going to get that six-pack abs, then they are lying to you actually, because you don't just get abs like that from doing a core program. It's way more than that, as we know.
Now, before we finish up, can we just like kind of go off topic a little bit just to give these guys a little tip?
I'd love that.
What should they look for if they're looking for a workout program where they want body recomposition? You know, I would say, you know, a fairly balanced program. A
balanced training split for sure.
Where there's like, where you're not seeing anything crazy, anything out of the norm.
Yeah.
Or you're like, where they're trying to sell you on this new magical idea almost. Cause you do see it out there. Like, oh, you train this way and it's just really out there. Not saying that, you know, those things may not work.
No, you can certainly get creative, but at the end of the day,
at the end of the day,
if you want body recomp, it's pretty much the same standard movements. We should
time under tension,
that progressive overload,
a split that allows you to recover. Because if you're not recovering, you're not going to gain muscle.
Correct.
You know, you're going to hold on to a lot of information. It may make it harder to lose weight.
There should also be no major, in my opinion, this could depend on what you're looking to train, but it's my personal professional opinion. You shouldn't be doing workout programs that, like with food, omit any specific body parts.
Yes.
Shouldn't be omitting any specific food groups. With your training, you're a chick, I think you should still be training chest. It has connections to your delts. There are other muscles you are working. Yes. You should not just be avoiding one muscle group entirely. And at that same note, you shouldn't only be training core and abs because you want a six-pack. It doesn't work that way either.
And I'd like to argue that just training in a certain way like that, you're going to cause muscle imbalances.
Correct.
Which are going to lead to injuries. You may not even realize that your gait could change how you're moving.
That's super important.
Your gait could change, and then it's going to cause all this structural integrity in other areas of your body. And you're going to like, I hurt my knee for some strange reason, or I hurt my back for some strange reason. Right. It's because of you're tight in one area, not another, and you have weakness in one area and not another.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of overactive and underactive muscles, and learning your own body and what's what to train the best for you.
Find a solid workout program where you're training every body part.
Yeah.
You know, you have some nice recovery in there.
And if I have any noobs here, I know a lot of my followers are in fitness and have been with me for a long time, but if you are a beginner, also just remember, starting out, you don't have to lift 5 days a week or 6 days a week.
Newbie gains are a real thing.
They are a real thing. And you also have to do what's realistic for you. So if you know that you have a busy life, you're a boss, you're a mom, you're doing all these things, 5 days a week is too much for you, cool. try to do 3, like figure out what's going to work for you. Start there. Once you have succeeded with that for a number of weeks, then you can add on to it if you have the time. But don't set yourself up for failure, because that is what so many people do. And we don't want to see you do that here, not on this channel.
And I also say, find a program that you can stick to.
Yeah.
You know, Kara just did Barry's boot camp and she loved it. I guarantee if Kara did Barry's boot camp for like 3 months straight, she's already shredded. She'd get like insanely shredded. But that just,
intense.
you just can't keep up with that every single day. It's just too draining. It's too physical on your body. Your body's going to break down. So find something that you can maintain for life and you enjoy actually doing it. Because if you don't like the training you're doing, you're not going to be motivated to push hard in the gym, have that mind-muscle connection. You're just gonna be trying to get through it, and then you're just gonna fall off the wagon eventually.
Agree. Yeah. I'd love for you to share this video with others who may find it helpful, who also struggle this time of year, because we know someone that always falls for these traps. If you'd like to see more videos like this, more videos with my handsome husband, Jason Corey, be sure to like this video, leave a comment down below with one of your fitness nutrition icks this time of year. I know there's a lot more we didn't cover. These were some of the main ones, so let me know down below, and we will see you in the next episode of Forever Fitness.
Peace.